of that is new. There have been talks between some parties in Istanbul in the past. And indeed, too,
I could see that happening.
the idea of direct
no
talks
doubt.
between the two countries has been.
Wait, why is he saying, oh, I can see this happening, no doubt, as if like he actually researched the issue? What the fuck? How do you know any of this? Like, dude, whenever Asmongold is talking about this issue, I feel like he just pulls things out of his ass. What does he mean? I can see that happening, no doubt. Like with Istanbul. Like, what the fuck? Like, did you... Like, I'm sorry. Are you Dylan Burns?
Agreed to in different types of wording by both Kiev and Moscow. So what Putin, I think, is suggesting is another diplomatic phase here in a country and a capital, in Istanbul, a city where indeed we've seen diplomacy before. But we've heard from the French President Emmanuel Macron, who did a lot of the lifting to get us to this point of the demand for a ceasefire, speaking to President Trump in the past days many times indeed. He called this, suggested this was another delaying tactic. He said in a tweet and a post on social media that there must be a ceasefire first, that you can't have negotiations while civilians are indeed being
Well, dude, I'm sorry. There's no point for a ceasefire because I'm curious if this person brings it up later, okay? This is not a commentary on Asmongold or anything, okay? I'm just curious if this person brings it up. There's no point for a ceasefire unless there's security guarantees. It's really as simple as that, okay? It's been said again and again and again and again, okay? If there's no security guarantees, there's no point in having a ceasefire, okay? You might as well just finish the war, in my opinion, right? Because if you have a ceasefire right now, what you're doing is that you're actually delaying the war, right? You're delaying the war until it happens later. That's what's actually happening here, all right? So just to be very clear, even if you have a ceasefire for 4 years, okay, you're getting banned. You're clearly a bot, okay? I don't, whatever. But like, even if you have a ceasefire right now, who's to say that it's not your children? It's not to say your children are the ones that's going to be fighting. How do you finish the war? By either they fight to the end and one side completely is demolished, which by the way might be Ukraine, okay, whatever, or Russia fully surrenders, right, because they gave up, or they have peace, but with security guarantees, right? Security guarantees, right? That's what I'm saying. That's literally that's all I'm saying. Okay. Where did the banhammer land? Somebody was like talking about something that was completely unrelated. Kind of just reminds me of a viewer bot. Okay. But yeah, it's not anything exciting. Okay. I promise. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, you know, you freeze the conflict so they cannot enter the EU or NATO, or they fight until the original borders. Yeah. And by the way, I just want to say, all right, like what security guarantees are is basically this, okay? What security guarantees are is if Russia invades Ukraine again, security guarantees means another country has to step in militarily to support Ukraine on the ground with troops, all right? Like they have to join the war if Russia invades again. That's what security guarantees are. Another country promises to send troops on the ground to join with Ukraine in an alliance in order to support Ukraine. That's why they want security guarantees, okay?
shelled.
He's right about that. I mean, it just makes sense. Yeah, that's the same logic that I was like, because you remember how like whenever Trump paused the tariffs to do a negotiation, this is the same logic that I was using. Like, yeah, of course, right? 100%.
By Russian bombs. And so it appears the European demand remains the same. That's been echoed by Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, that ceasefire first, then talks. What we don't know yet is if, indeed, the White House, President Trump putting a very positive post out after Putin's comments last night.
Yeah.
We don't know if that is, in fact, going to result in the massive sanctions that French President Emmanuel Macron talked about.
Right, all roads lead to Rome. Like, the thing with Asmongold is that no matter what Trump does, and no matter what Putin does, and no matter what anybody does, there's literally no point, right? Because everything that they do is going to be considered intentional and a genius move, and it's never going to be a bad decision, even though everybody says with the tariffs, it's a bad decision. Him starting it and then pausing it is bad for American relations with other worldly countries. Yeah, literally nobody agrees that it's a good decision. But the way that Asmongold interprets Trump is that everything that Trump does is 4D chess. I mean, it's just like 2016 again, where everybody thinks that Trump is just secretly doing 4D chess, right? But, you know, I guess Asmongold is just stuck in 2016, you know? That's not going to happen. If another country gets involved, that will launch World War III. Yeah, that's the point. Yes, that's the point, Dia. Yes.
Yesterday as being the consequence if Russia doesn't sign up to the ceasefire.
Wow.
He said he had American backing for that. Donald Trump said he continued to work with Ukraine and Russia to be sure this process moved forwards. We don't know the timing of when those potential consequences might...
I mean, how can they put that many sanctions on Russia already that aren't already on them? And also, don't they rely on Russia? I know Germany does. They rely on Russia for tons of energy. So I don't know really how much they could actually do.
Kick in, or indeed if they'll have the same kind of hard backing.
Not anymore.
Isn't Article 5 just for defense, not offense? No, it's defense and offense, right? All it says is if Russia attacks any NATO member, then every single NATO member has to join in the fight against Russia. That's basically what it means. All right? Yeah. Like, that's all it is. It's not technically, like, to analyze it as either defense or offense, like, it's not really relevant. Like, yeah, yeah. Do you think some streamers have a hard time publicly changing their opinions since it could reflect on their views? 100%. I think that Asmongold is one of these people. Mm-hmm.
Suggested they would.
They were able to move away from it
yesterday in Kiev.
Nick Payton-Walls for us there in Kiev. Thanks so much.
Good.
Let's go now to CNN's Sebastian Shukla in London. Sebastian.
I know that's defense. I meant that what if for some reason Poland comes into Ukraine like offense, then does it trigger Article 5? No, because okay, let me think. No, I don't think it should. No, I don't think it should. Right? Because Poland's land is not being invaded by Russia, right? It's Poland stepping in of their own volition, right? I don't think it should trigger Article... Yeah, so Article 5 is defensive, right? It has to be defensive. Yeah. He cultivated a massive audience of red pillars, and now he can't really let it go. I think what happened with Asmongold is that he cultivated an audience of Trump supporters, and now he has to keep on doubling down, because if they don't double down and agree with Trump on everything, then he's going to look really bad, right? Yeah, I think that's the reason. Okay, I think this kind of explains his current predicament, right? Oh, hello, Cat. You're like my favorite Jew.
The consequences,
German here,
as
pretty sure
Nick laid out, we don't know
That's good.
yet.
I didn't
what
know
is
that. That's
clear
new.
is that this is not going to satisfy Europe after they set that ultimatum, that demand just yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's right. What the Kremlin and President Putin are trying to do here is move the ball back into the Western Europe's court here and say, look, okay, you guys are prepared to put an ultimatum on us of this ceasefire, which needs to begin on Monday.
Yeah, but the thing with NATO, okay, hello, Control. But by the way, the thing with NATO is that NATO is primarily for Russia. NATO is primarily for the USSR, right? It's not. Yeah, it's yeah.
But what President
like I honestly don't know how much NATO cares about other fucking countries, right? Like I'm talking about countries like Vietnam or something, right? I don't know.
Putin is doing is saying, okay, I
don't know
raise
much
your
about this.
30-day ceasefire.
Oh, I will say, actually, I will say again, NATO is the one that bombed Yugoslavia, right? The Yugoslavia bombings, right? So I mean, they do step in when they need to. Okay, so
Ultimatum on Monday. I'm gonna.
But to be fair, right? These are Slavic states. They're not like Asian states.
Say, let's have direct talks between
It's different.
Kyiv and Moscow, which is something, as Nick was saying, is not new, but haven't happened since the early days of the invasion in February 2022. So this is President Putin again trying to pull the rug and fool and trick the West into thinking that he is making and serious about peace and ending.
I mean, I really can't say he's probably like. I mean, really, he been fucking around a lot. I mean, yeah, it's why I watch CNN. Well, I mean, they're just explaining what happened, right? I mean, I try to watch. People always criticize. It's funny because like people criticize me for watching Fox News, and then when I watch CNN, people criticize me for watching CNN. I think some people.
It's not just Fox News. You specifically watch Fox and Friends, okay? Fox and Friends is like the fucking crack cocaine of news media, dude. Like that shit is just 24/7 Russian propaganda. Like that shit is insane. Like Fox and Friends is like Russia Today on an American broadcasting network. Okay?
People just don't want to hear things they disagree with. That's all.
The war in
That's
Ukraine.
the real
there
reason.
may be some substance to that. Don't forget that the administration led by Donald Trump has kowtowed to Moscow in many ways. You know, it sidelined Ukraine, it's sidelined its European partners and held direct talks with Moscow.
Yeah, of
but
course.
then that rhetoric changed again, where we saw Senator Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, come out and say, well, look, we're losing patience, and the administration...
Isn't it crazy that White House crash out with Zelensky was like... It's crazy to go back on that and remember that even happened. That was a crazy level of a crash out.
Strung on a little by the Kremlin.
Live
and
on
this may
TV
be
and
yet
everything.
Another ploy by Moscow to be able to say, look, no, we're serious
You don't have
about
the cards,
negotiations,
yeah.
but within
Where's your
all of
thank
this,
you?
the context and framework is so important. You can say you want to have the discussion.
Yeah, but crash out in favor of who? Like I feel like whenever Asmongold talks about like the White House incident, he's always the one like that's slurping up Trump, right? He's always the one that's like choking down Trump's dick, right?
But so far, President Zelensky and nobody else has ruled out attending them.
Seb Shukla for us in London. Thanks so much. Do you think that this offer from President Putin attempting to skip by
Foodshops, why aren't you wearing a suit? I put more effort into how I look on stream than most people combined, okay? Like, people like Leaflet probably don't even wear anything because they're fucking VTuber. They're a fucking VTuber, all right? People like Kershay, people like Rev, they don't have to do anything, okay? I actually put effort for you guys specifically because I love you guys. That's why, all right?
this request or this demand for a 30-day ceasefire and go straight to talks in Istanbul on Thursday will be enough to peel off President Trump, who wants a quick finish, who wants a win from what we saw from him yesterday.
They're trying to make Trump look
standing
bad.
shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine and the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
I think it's designed to do that. Trump wants quick action, and Russia is showing that it is on the side of peace. And I think Zelensky's response is also designed to appease Trump, to say, look, I'm not the one.
They say they what? Wait, what? Wait, what? That Russia's on the side of peace? Wait, what?
In the way of peace. The Europeans, I think, are taking the more realistic view. We've heard from President Macron of France saying this.
Explain thoroughly your thought process into your outfit and appearance choice. Go, go, go. Wait, me? Black academic. I'm trans, so then I'm trying to make my shoulders look smaller. So typically I always wear black on top. However, if you wear black on top, you typically need a lot of a lighter color in order to contrast with the black. So typically you want to go with something that stands out, like here, right? Like this, like a scarf or something. If you have black hair, like because you're Asian or something, or you're Italian of descent, or maybe you have black hair in general, typically you want to go with something bright in your hair. So sometimes I wear a pin. So yeah, typically you want contrast. All right. But yeah.
This is Russia just buying time. I think that's the more accurate description of it.
Yeah, that's probably
but
what's
both,
going on.
Moscow and Kyiv are signaling towards Washington, not towards the Europeans.
Bobby Ghosh, always good to have you. Thank you.
Anytime.
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day,
That
24
didn't happen.
hours.
That did not happen.
Oh, is this Asmongold pushing back against Trump? I feel like, you know what, it's not too bad, okay? Like, at least for this video, he's like kind of pushing back a little bit more against Trump. I think when it comes to Ukraine and Russia specifically, Asmongold is a little bit more I don't know, like against Trump on this one, right? And pro Ukraine, a little bit more pro Ukraine, I think. But then when it comes to immigrants, Asmongold is fucking unhinged. Yeah, but yeah.
Because I'll meet with Putin, I'll meet with Zelensky.
Yep, that did.
Yes, I like that Asmongold actually pushes back sometime. Yeah, I mean, but he's slurping Trump's dick, like, outside of Ukraine, right? Like, it, I don't know, okay? I don't know. Listen, I think, by the way, the reason I say this is because, Asmongold, has raised over $300,000 for Ukraine at some point, okay? So obviously turning his back on Ukraine the entire time would not reflect well on him, hypocrisy-wise, right? So it's kind of understandable why he would take this position, because otherwise anyone can point out that he had a 300K fundraiser for Ukraine. It makes no sense. Wasn't it 1.5 mil? No, 300K. I saw it. I saw the bar at the top when he finished, or unless you're saying that it's anything related. Oh Jesus, I'm like 10 minutes behind. Then egghead, huh? What message do you try to convey, if any, about my clothing? That people like black on everything except for the skin color. Wasn't it? You know.
Did
Both
not
have
happen.
weaknesses and they both have strengths.
Yep.
And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine totally settled. I'll have it done in 24 hours.
Yep.
So it's been more than
Hey, Kat, thank you so much for the $2. I appreciate it, buddy. ChatGPT said he raised 391K. Oh, wow. Oh, no. I was 91K off. I will never recover from this mistake. Oh, no. Oh, shit, guys.
24 hours since the president became president again.
Oh, no.
Putin did say overnight that he's open to direct talks, unconditional talks with Ukraine, but Zelensky says there must be a ceasefire first. Over the weekend, the U.S. and European leaders threatened sanctions against Russia if they did not agree to a ceasefire.
By the way, for some people, the war started when Crimea was annexed, okay? For some people, the war started when Crimea is annexed. So as long as Crimea is still annexed, yeah, it's like the war will never end for them, okay? Because I'm pretty sure there's always going to be guerrilla groups who's going to be fighting in Crimea, technically. I don't know. There's always going to be resistance groups. Is she quadruple streaming? What do you mean? How? What do you mean by that?
How do you
I'm
make,
sure
what do you
Biden
make of the way
tried
that
too.
Trump has been
Do you think Trump could solve the Hassan Ethan beef? Yeah, he could solve that day one. Okay, if he was president, Hassan and Ethan would have never beefed.
handling the situation so far?
You heard it in that clip, and you heard it from this report from reporting Olivia was talking about it. He's very relational, and he's a nationalist. He has very good relationships with people like Modi.
Why do they want that nuclear wasteland? You know, it's kind of funny you say that because Russia has unironically made a nuclear wasteland. Russia is the maker of nuclear wastelands, okay? Hold on. I'll point out all the spots where Russia has made nuclear wastelands, okay? So Russia's retarded, that's why. So here, all right? I hate that people watch Asmongold as if his political IQ is at least 100 when it's barely 85 on a good day. Asmongold takes 2 brain cells together, and instead of making 2 brain cells, he just cancels out his other brain cell. All right, that's what happens with Asmongold. All right. Oh yeah. Okay, right. So I mean, I guess I honestly don't know where Chernobyl is. Okay. Where Chernobyl is, okay? However, all right, here, this is where Russia does all of its nuclear bomb testing, okay? It's this specific little aisle right here. Do you guys see this? I forgot, like, Chernobyl is in Ukraine. Okay, but like, do you guys see this little stretch of island right here? And by the way, this stretch of island is actually tiny. Okay, it's because the globe is warped. It's because the globe is stretched apart. That's why, right? So technically, this is like way smaller than it's depicting. All right. Now, the thing is that this is where Russia does all of its nuclear tests, and it's fucking freezing up here. Okay, yeah, they do it in the middle of nowhere, but yeah, and nobody wants to live here. By the way, nobody wants to live here because of very obvious reasons. All right, so yeah, but this is where they explode all the bombs. All right, cool. So yeah, that's probably one of the most that is the most nuked place on Earth. Like that place holds the record for the most nuked place on Earth, and it's not even close.
With Putin, quite frankly, and they have
aggressive. That's probably why they took the
test. His own interest, his own popularity base in India, because because of Hindu nationalism, because of the way he's run that country.
Biden was trying to stay away.
Asmongold is intelligent but lazy. I mean, I agree with that, but I would even argue he's intelligent but lazy and also bad faith.
When America pulls back a bit from the world and encourages nationalist impulses, nationalist leaders, Modi, who's seen even by some in India as a strongman, they don't always act on America's best interests. Russia's not acting in America's interest. Russia's acting in its own.
How do we forget where Chernobyl? Dude, I don't fucking know. At least I'm honest when I say I don't know where Chernobyl is. Hassan just spends like 30 minutes trying to click on every country to find Yemen.
Ukraine and Europe have less faith in the administration as actually the United States as a broker than they did. They're looking more towards each country's individual interest. And I think you're starting to see the very beginnings of what that means. If the United States is not swooping in with a deal, if it's dealing with these countries as they are, with their own intent, with what's best for their polities, they're going to get a different deal. You saw in India, one story that came out of this was Chinese.
He was memeing. You're right. Okay, yeah, you're right. Guys, that's right. Hassan was memeing, okay, when you couldn't find where Yemen was, okay?
Chengdu plane, a plane that China was manufacturing.
I bet Russia has opened up different dimensions with how much they test out there. On God, for real, Lin. Yes,
performed very well. A reminder that there is a vast power much closer to India with much more history there.
Just a drink.
Did he
shaken, not stirred?
WFS take. Where is Yemen? Hamasabi?
True. Hey, thank you so much for $2. I'm being paid by Mossad right now, by the way.
See the video game footage?
Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha, epic. Epic. All right.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yes.
It has
yes.
its own influence in the region.
I love my video game jokes.
Because
oh, yes. Epic.
So there are a lot of complications that are harder than getting a deal one day because you're friends with the president or the prime minister.
Sure.
What's the beef with Hassan? What do you mean? I'm not beefing directly with Hassan.
Sure, right.
Hassan.
Okay, well, there it is. And this guy's a comedian, right? Yeah, India and China are friends. Yes. Oh, my God. Armor's got another victim. Wow, bro. Like, how do you play this shit? And like,
why do people hate him right now? Because people have always hated him. And honestly, they have totally valid reasons to hate him, okay? Not you specifically, but you aren't the first. Good. I don't want to be the first. That's scary.
Like, I don't even know how you do this. Like, this is unbelievable how this fucking happens. But I guess this is the way the world is now, right?
Oh, wow. That's just great.